according to the order of Melchizedek.
Wow.
The order of Melchizedek, and that's in Revelation 1, verse 6, where Jesus says, you are kings and priests according to the order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek not only controls the treasury in heaven, that's why Abraham gave him a tenth of the spoils, but Melchizedek is an order that straightens up or tidies up everything in the universe and gets rid of the chaos.
Wow.
I want to tell you to get the book called The Keys of Enoch.
What is it called?
Keys, Keys, like a key in a lock.
Mm-hmm.
Keys of Enoch. It's about, I paid $260 for this book, but it is worth it. It is a treasure trove of information that blends quantum physics with the spiritual, with the Bible. It confirms everything in the Bible and vice versa.
Wow.
And yet it'll help activate what's deep inside of you and what your specific calling is and what you're destined and designed to do, because the government of Rome and the Catholic Church left out some of the most important books of the Bible, including the Book of Enoch. And this gives us the information about who we really are, everything from being translocated to creating with thought, to all of these things that were hidden from us because the Anunnaki stripped away 10 of our 12 strands of DNA. And the 12 strands of DNA will be reinactivated with this crystalline body that we're getting ready to come into, which will help be activated by the photon bands of light that don't come through here but every 25,000 years, but that we are about to experience around the 21st of December.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question of you in terms of when you were saying the Anunnaki? I was doing a little bit of studying and I heard that they put something called telomere caps on our DNA.
Yes. Yes.
Is it called telomeres?
Right. Telomeres. That's correct.
Yeah.
They didn't want us to be fully, that's correct. They didn't want us to be fully developed. So therefore, we only have 2 of our 12 strands of DNA.
Wow. Wow.
How did they do this? At birth? I mean, how did they do this?
They did this when the Anunnaki had sex with the women of men.
Okay.
And remember, after that, we had Noah's flood.
Yes.
And it was to help wipe that out.
Oh.
However, apparently there were still some, because remember, David defeated Goliath, who was one of the Anunnaki, a giant.
Yes.
So there's a lot of history that we are not privy to. And that's why you want to get the Keys of Enoch, because every page I read, and God's given me the ability to know where things are in the Word and to immediately be able to cross-reference. If somebody says, I have this issue, I'll say, well, the Lord says this. And like we talked about fear today, Denise, that perfect love casts out fear because fear involves torment. That if they're in fear, they have not been perfected in God, meaning they're not perfect, but meaning they haven't experienced His perfect love.
This the book here?
That's it.
Book of Knowledge, the Keys.
That's the book. Look at the 4.5 stars. That's it, J.J. Hertog. That's the book. Okay, that says 290. I got mine through Abe, like Abe Lincoln, abebooks.com.
Okay.
Go to abebooks.com, Abe like Abraham, Abe Lincoln, abebooks.com, and it's less than that. I paid with tax and shipping $263.
Oh, okay.
I'm definitely getting this right away. Thank you for that.
It is worth every penny of it. And I promise you, it corroborates the Bible.
Liz, can I ask you about, I'm hearing a lot about the reptilians. Is that something that's scriptural?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know a lot about the reptilians. Who knows what about that? Because I really don't usually study things that are not applicable to me.
Okay.
Personally.
Well, like they were saying, like, certain news reporters, you'll see them on TV and then you'll see something going on with their eyes and
they're showing off
their reptilians. I guess what they're trying to say is the demons are manifesting. I don't know.
Shape shifting.
Yes.
Yes,
Julie,
shapeshifter.
what do you know? Julie or Jennifer, do you know about it? Because I don't know that much about it. I know David Icke talked about it a lot, but that wasn't anything I really followed that much.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
how
don't know.
scriptural it is.
I don't know a
what I
huge
understand,
amount.
like from sorry.
What?
That's okay.
I was going to say, I know enough to know that my understanding is that the reptilians are of another planet,
Okay.
that and or they have been below us. So it's part of my understanding is that it's part of the grays. All of that information, and so there's going to be positive interplanetary people we're going to be working with, and negative, but the negative we've already dealt with. That they're the reptilians here. That's about all I know. I've just briefly looked
Yeah,
at
we knew
a few
that
rabbit
the
holes.
Queen was the
But you-
Queen of England definitely could shapeshift into a reptilian, and that was apparently what Diana saw.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's honestly, that's all I know about them is what Julie just said and what I just said. I really don't know that much about it.
Yeah.
You know, let me just say this, right? You know,
I used to read David Icke's books.
let me say this real quick, okay? Okay, we have a lot of information, we have a lot of knowledge. The key to all of this is now we have to reach the young generation.
Yes.
We have to teach them, and we got to teach them in the lamest terms so they can catch on real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because we have all the knowledge. We know what's going on, but we have to enlighten them so that they can catch on real quick. But we have to make it to a degree where they can understand real fast. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't be teaching them like how doctors describe medication. You know, they use all these big terminologies, and then when you look it up, you find out, damn, all they had to do was just say this. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know, they would sit there and say hydrochlorothiazide, and you'd be like, and then when you look it up, you'd be like, damn, what this all it means? Why he just didn't say that? You know what I'm saying? So we have to take this knowledge that we know, and we have to break it down to the lamest terms where the children can understand it quicker and faster, because we're not guaranteed to be here forever. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so actually, we are.
Well, and that goes back to the telomeres, doesn't it, Liz?
Yes.
Because the telomeres is what keeps us. Right. Yep.
And not only that, but the young kids that you're talking about, they're on the internet. Most of them already know all of this stuff, or they've heard it. But yet, it's an individual thing. I agree, Charlie, that it depends on who you're speaking to, because maybe your 80-year-old grandmother, maybe you can just say it in certain simple terms, but maybe you've got a brilliant 5-year-old that says, hey, Dad, I already know all about that. I mean, because these children are coming through a time in the spirit realm that we were not years ago, and they know a lot more because they're exposed to the internet, a body of knowledge that's unlimited.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, look at Bailey, right, Denise? I mean, she is in her 20s, and she is so far ahead of
she really is. She's so red pilled that she was teaching us stuff.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and a lot of the young ones that I've been working with, I was working in higher ed, in housing, and they're called indigo children.
Oh yeah,
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And they have like more light in their brain automatically.
That's right.
So they're wired differently. They already have a huge understanding of how things work. But yeah, they're extremely gifted in different aspects, and I know quite a few of them, and they will just blow your mind at every corner, because you're like, yeah, you're 12. How are you speaking these amazing words that, and have these understandings? So
if you think about the third eye, the pineal gland, they say children, the reason children can learn like multiple languages at a young age and they can learn the violin and all this stuff, is because it's not calcified yet from the fluoride in the water. And so they have that third eye that ours is all,
And that's the pineal gland that will be opened up.
Yes.
And yes, like you're saying about the children, that they are really hardwired differently because they don't have to go through what we went through.
Right.
And that's why they've also been trying to kidnap and kill them too.
Yes.
A whole generation that will help, because kids are going to talk to other kids, and a lot of times they won't receive from adults. You know that. Remember, we thought our parents didn't know anything.
Yeah.
This is why you have to make the teachings fun to them. You know, if you make it fun to them, then they probably like it more. But if you be too serious with them, then they're not gonna want to hear it. You know.
Yeah.
But you gotta make it fun for them to want to learn.
I'm a Sunday school teacher, so I could vouch for that. They have very short attention spans. They want to be on their phone all the time. So you have to make it fun. Yeah.
You know, like when Michael Jackson made ABCs as easy as 1, 2, 3, he made it so he made it in a singing song to the degree. I learned my ABCs when I started listening to ABCs. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, and I started, and I started learning my ABCs. You know, if you ever notice, when we learned our ABCs, they did it in a rhythm. You know, we said A B C D E F G. It was a rhythm. So when you put your lyrics into a song, they'll catch on faster.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. And how about the music is going to go back to the healing hurts?
Yes.
You know, I think about that.
Yes.
And, I wanted to say, like, my one daughter, and she was, I don't know what type of child she was, but she always seemed to have like an old soul. She liked older music. She doesn't relate to her millennial friends as much. And even like, I'll say this, when 9/11 happened, she was only like 4 or whatever. And she said to me one like that morning when I was getting her ready for school, she said, "Oh, hey, Mommy, what if a plane like flew into a building?" And I remember like chastising her when she said that. I got really upset. I was like, "Why would you say that?" And I was really angry, and I was in a rush, and I didn't stop to check in, like, why would she say that? So I take her to school, and then I go to work, and just imagine, like, that happened at, what was it, like 9 or something in the morning?
9. Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I thought was, oh my God, she literally said that this morning. What was that about,
Yeah. Say that children have like a sixth sense.
So it's like, when you teach your children, you have to have some type of skill, some type of strategy. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a strategy how to reach them. You know, if you can't reach them with one strategy, then you got to have a second type of strategy in order to get their attention. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, they'll never learn,
Well,
that's for sure.
And here's the thing. Yes, I agree with you so much, Charlie, from the standpoint that each individual, you're going to speak to them at the level that they're at, and you'll be given the words to speak to them. And yet there is coming in this 5D in the golden age, you will have to use a new lexicon, a new vocabulary, just like you have to use a new vocabulary on a computer. There's words that we use now that we didn't use 30 years ago because we entered into the technological age. So the 5D will require we use different words and terminology. So like some of the words that I use, that's why when you get that book, you'll see what I'm talking about, because it's all about the quantum. And the quantum is an intensification of everything on the smallest atomic measurement there is, which are called qubits. Right. So that's why it's important to read this book, but it might take everybody, I know, a while to do it because it has concepts that tie in with what the Bible says. So it does not contradict the Bible, but it will take you into the realm you need to go in personally.
Right.
Nice. Very nice. I'm so glad you said that. I can't wait to order that book. Let me ask you two questions. What Bible version would you recommend? And my second question is, what are your thoughts on the Emerald tablets?
On the, what was the last part?
The Emerald tablet.
The Emerald what?
Emerald tablets.
Emerald tablets?
Never heard of that.
I have not heard of that either. As far as the version of the Bible, I think whatever resonates with you. I like the New King James Version, and I like the Amplified and the NIV. But know this, that book is alive. And that's why you can read it at different times in your life, and you'll get a different layer of revelation from it. But it's such a great, the Keys of Enoch is a great companion book to the Bible, because it takes you where you're supposed to go as a king and priest according to the order of Melchizedek. And so we are here living in this time of the great wealth transfer, because that is part of what we will be involved in. So you have to learn about the order of Melchizedek, because he's in charge of the treasury in heaven. Because, you know, the Apostle Paul said, lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moth or rust don't eat or corrupt them. So you have, as I was telling Denise today, an account in heaven. You have an account that you've been making deposits into, and you don't need it when you get to heaven. You need it down here. So you can go to the treasury, you can go to Melchizedek, and you can say, please release X amount to me from my account in heaven. So you can do things like that. You can go into the courts of heaven according to Daniel chapter 7. And that's about the courts of heaven, where you can ask the supreme justice of the universe, God himself, to render a verdict in your behalf. In our case, we did it for the nation. We said, Lord, we know that this is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you please bring forth your covenant with this nation, render a verdict in our behalf? And he said, it is done. So then you ask that the court to enforce that verdict, just like it does in the natural, only you're doing it from a spiritual perspective. Again, that's Daniel chapter 7, because the courts were seated and the Ancient of Days was there proceeding, and a decision was made and rendered. That verdict was rendered in behalf of the saints, so that they would receive and retain and have dominion of the kingdom forever and ever and ever. So we are coming to the point of understanding our dominion, our authority as co-creators, created in the image of God, because we've all been dumbed down with those 10 strands of the DNA removed from us that are about to be reactivated.
Awesome. That's so powerful.
So powerful.
Isn't that exciting to know that?
So absolutely. Well, and I wanted to circle back around real quick to the pineal gland too, because that's like I said, I've been floating for 31 years, I think it is 32 years. And in the sensory deprivation tank, it allows us to reach states of theta brain waves and maintain it for up to 20 minutes in a 60-minute session. And so I've been working with my pineal gland from keeping it calcified for all these decades. And I think that's why I was able to so quickly identify what the truth really was.
Good.
You know, and once it was laid before me, I could float on it, and I could listen to my heart and my soul. And so when I found, like, you know, Charlie Ward, I found you, Denise, I found some other ones that I'm like, yeah, this is truth. And I'll go back with Jennifer, you being a nurse. One of the things that I absolutely will not do or have done to me is that thermostat taking my temperature at my forehead.
Yeah, I hate that.
Because that's affecting our pineal gland. Same with the damn test. Same with the test, pushing it up, trying to get up towards that pineal gland. This is about the pineal gland being fully activated. And it's just, I'm so excited, obviously, yay.
love it. I love it. You know what? Speaking of the pineal gland, I do a lot of like, you know, deep dives in different things, and I love the learning that you can have in nature with the whole like Fibonacci, you know, the Fibonacci code, and how, you know, pine cones represent the pineal gland, and, you know, even down to wormwood. If you all are familiar with wormwood,
right.
That's a component of HCQ, which I started thinking, wow, this is why they attack the HCQ so much, because they know that it's a component in HCQ that opens up and decalcifies your pineal gland. That's why they are so threatened by HCQ. But you know, recently on my YouTube video, I did a live tasting of absinthe. Have you all ever tasted absinthe?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Well, it has wormwood in it.
Okay.
And if you think about absinthe, they really vilified it and demonized it and said it killed people and all this stuff. And I was like, it has to be like a lot of connections to this stuff, you know?
Right.
You know, and I was just like, and wormwood is spoken of in the Bible. I know it's not a positive thing, but it's, you know, it's referred to in the book of Revelations, you know, you know, and I'm like, I find all these connections and I want to put them all together, you know?
Right. Well, I have an example of our pineal gland for you guys. So this is our current pineal gland. It's a nice little pine cone. All right.
Oh, yay.
And then after we go through what we're getting ready to go through, this will be our pineal gland.
Marty.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good way to put it.
That is a great analogy. See,
isn't that great?
Will a child understand that? Is that a good way to teach a child?
Yeah. So this is where I keep it. I keep it in this love thing.
And, that's fabulous.
Yeah. So this is before. This is
after. I love that.
That's awesome.
Great. I love that visual.
But Julie, let me ask you now, because I got one of those thermometers for my daughter. She's having a baby. I thought, you know, you don't have to touch the baby's forehead. You just take the temperature.
Yeah, but you can do it on the wrist. You can.
Oh, you can use that on the wrist.
On the head.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Does not. Is that right, Jennifer? I mean,
yeah. You can for the babies, you can take it in various places. Like you can put it. I mean, they check it under the axillary. You can do a lot of things instead of putting it on the forehead. You know?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I've got to go find a little girl's room somewhere, so I think I'm about done.
I think this was amazing. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys. It's lovely.
I will be thinking about all of you when we hear that Trump won.
Yes.
Yay. I can't wait.
We definitely got to do this again.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, let's do it after December 21st. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we can talk about what happens on December 21st.
Well, my birthday's the 28th, so.
Oh.
Ha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm excited.
We'll definitely reschedule, and we'll do it again.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you
all.
Okay.
All right. And I'm going to put it out there. Jennifer, I'll send you the link. I'll send all you guys the link. But if you want something to listen to,
and
thank you so much.
And Julie, check
God bless everybody.
I will.
Check your Gmail, okay?
God bless you. Safe driving, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. I love you all.
Thank you, Liz.
Take
love
care.
You guys. Thank you, KingCharlie Prince.
Right.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. God bless.
Okay. God bless you.